Well, hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So the restoration of the SR600 is now complete, and for those of you that perhaps haven't watched the restoration or don't know what much about the SRX600, let's have a walk around and I'll do my best to try and describe what we've got. So these bikes were available between 1985 and 1997, so about a 12-year production run. They do have a real following back in Japan. Japanese do like these. They've got a real cult following there. They only sold for 1 year in the US, and the reason for that is generally thought to be because they were kickstart only, and everybody was buying universal Japanese motorcycles, 4-cylinder across the frame bikes, etc. And a single kickstart only bike frankly just didn't appeal to the US market. That also tied in with the fact that these were pretty much a similar price to some of those bikes as well, which didn't help. They sold much better in Europe. Germany seemed to take to these quite well. There is a cult following for them in Germany as well as the US, to be fair, but I say Japan is where they really the domestic market is really where they did sell a lot of these. 19,000 units I think they sold, something like that. In the UK these were available for I think 2 years, something like that, in this guise. They were updated later on to have a monoshock rather than the twin shocks. Some markets had external dampers, oil dampers on the shock absorbers, and eventually they did make this into a monoshock, as I said. But they remain largely unchanged over the years. The engine is derived from an XT600, and the idea was to take an XT600 large single engine and put it into a lightweight cafe racer style frame, which to my eye makes for a lovely looking bike with this sort of pistol grip type or style tank. Imagine that being holding a pistol like that. That's how I describe it anyway. What they were trying to do is replicate the success of the SR500, which was again a street bike but based on the XT 500, and that sold really well. And this, unfortunately, not quite so well. But again, I think the reason for that was the cost. The cost has gone up substantially, and you could buy multi-cylinder electric start bikes for the same sort of money. So you really wanted one of these if you were going to go and get one. You really wanted a single. You really wanted a kickstart only. It was a real statement at the time. Quite a bold move by Yamaha, really, to bring out something like this. So they have got a reputation for being difficult to start. We'll see if that's true in a minute when we try and fire it up. As I say, the restoration of this one is now complete. I've ridden it for about 150-200 miles since finishing the restoration. I've gone around, tweaked up various bits and pieces, made sure everything's nice and tight. When I've done about 500 miles, I'll torque back down the head bolts, etc., just to make sure they're okay. But I haven't found many issues. Had to alter the angle of the gear lever because that was far too high. Forks are really soft on this. I don't know whether they're meant to be, but I think maybe I should have changed the fork oil. I'll put a heavier weight oil in, but I might actually put progressive springs in there as well. It's one of the areas I didn't touch because apparently the forks had been refurbished not long before I bought it, but best laid plans and all of that. Things I would have changed or done differently on the restoration. I perhaps wouldn't have gone for the original style mirrors. I do like originality, but I think these mirrors are frankly some of the ugliest mirrors I think I've ever seen on any motorbike, let alone something that's meant to be a stylish cafe racer style machine. So I really don't like those, but they are original, and I do like originality. A bit of a stickler for that, so they're staying. The other thing I would do differently is the this protector on the exhaust. I assumed it was alloy, so I took it off, stripped it, and then I polished it. Came out the next morning, it had gone rusty. So turned out it's steel, it's not alloy, and I think it had probably been anodized at the factory. So what I've had to do is I've polished it, I've lacquered it. Don't know whether the lacquer is going to stay on there because obviously it's around the hot exhaust, but we'll see what happens. But I think on the next project, if I have anything anodized, I have to take anything to be anodized, I'll probably take that off and take that along and see what they can do with it. Really, the restoration of this went pretty straightforward. To be perfectly honest, there wasn't any major issues that I came across. It's only done 14,000 miles, so the bottom of the engine is absolutely fine. Top end was stripped down and checked over, all looks fine. The only modification on this really is up here, and this is a drain valve for the petrol at the lowest point of the petrol tank. The petrol tap that supplies fuel from the tank is somewhere up here, and there's a lot of fuel will sit down in here even if you open up the petrol cock on the other side and drain all the fuel out. So the previous owner, or a previous owner, had this welded into the lowest part of the tank, and it's just a little tap on there. I think this is actually it's a 1/4 inch gas fitting, and you turn that, take this off, and basically the petrol will come out from the lowest part of the tank, so you can drain it easily without having to remove the tank. So it's not the best looking modification in the world, but it's pretty much out of sight when you look at the bike, so I'm not too worried about leaving that there. The only other modification this seems to have had is find the light switch. So this has had an LED headlight put in at some point. I didn't do that. I don't like the way it looks, but having said that, from a safety point of view, being seen point of view, it probably makes sense. I think certainly if I was riding this at night, which I'm not intending to do, but if I was, then that'd be fine. I might change that back and go back to a normal bulb at some point, but we'll see. I do have a new front tyre on order. I rebuilt it with the old one on there, but I've ordered a Battle Axe BT46 for the front to match the back one. This is down to about 1 mil all over, so it's just legal. The bike has just passed its MOT, so the tyre is legal, but it's from 2010 as well, so I think it's time for a new one. The back one's absolutely fine. That's from 2016, and it's got tons of tread. Battle BT45 on there, which you can't get anymore. They're upgrading to the BT46, but I'm told the BT46 front will work perfectly well with the BT45 rear. So that's enough waffling. Let's see if we can get it started. More than happy with that. Since the restoration, I've managed to get this started within 2 or 3 kicks, from cold, warm, or hot, and it just seems to sit there ticking over at about 1200, 1250 RPM. It's not ticking over quite that high at the moment because obviously it's just been started. So it sounds lovely. So thanks for watching. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and there'll be more restorations and videos coming along very soon.